Hello guys, this is Ramzan and today we are going to discuss the new organic chemistry topic, that is organometallic compounds. So this topic I have chosen it from the BSc third semester syllabus. So here the organometallic compounds play a vital role in the field of organic chemistry as because these compounds are widely used in the synthesis of large variety of organic compounds containing different functional groups. So in this video, I will learn about the synthesis of Grignard reagent and its synthetic applications in the synthesis of hydrocarbons, alkane, alcohols, etc. So before starting this video, please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon for the further notifications. So let's start the video. Before going to start with the organometallic compounds, so let me explain about the electrophilic and nucleophilic nature of the carbon. So here, the compounds such as alkyl halides, alcohols, ethers and epoxides, if you see all these compounds, the carbon atom is bonded with the more electronegative atom. Means the carbon in all these molecules is acting as electrophile. You can see in the following reaction where the alkyl group is bonded to the Z. So here the carbon which is directly bonded with the Z carries a slight positive charge, so that is partial positive charge, and the species Z carries partial negative charge. Here in this reaction the carbon is bearing a positive charge, hence it acts as a electrophile, and Z is having a partial negative charge, it is more electronegative than the carbon. So now we have Y minus. So this Y minus is acting as a strong nucleophile which is stronger than that of the Z. In this reaction, the stronger nucleophile displaces the weaker nucleophile from the reactant molecule. So that we'll get CS3, CS2Y. Along with that, we'll get the what? Z minus. Be remember, when carbon is attached with or it is bonded with more electronegative atom, in such case, the carbon bears partial positive charge and hence it acts as a electrophile. Now we'll get one question over here, that is, if we want to get a nucleophilic carbon, if we want to make a carbon to react with an electrophile, then what we can do for that? The answer is very simple. It is, we would need a compound with a nucleophilic carbon. If I want to make the carbon to react with the electrophile, for that we need a nucleophilic carbon. Then in this reaction the carbon is electrophile. Then how do we get a nucleophilic carbon? The simple way is that the carbon would have to be bonded to a less electronegative atom to be nucleophilic. If we want a nucleophilic carbon, then what we have to do? We have to bond a carbon atom to a less electronegative atom. Let's see one more reaction in the next slide. Here you can see a similar reaction, but in this case, the carbon atom of the alkyl group is bonded with the species M. But in the previous reaction, you saw that the carbon bears a slight positive charge, and in this reaction, the carbon bears a partial negative charge, and the species to which the carbon attached, that is bearing a partial positive charge. Now in this reaction, the carbon is acting as a nucleophile because it bears a partial negative charge, and the species M, which is less electronegative than carbon, for that it bears a partial positive charge. Now in this reaction, the reactant molecule, that is carbon, now it is acting as a nucleophile and it is ready to attack with the electrophiles. So here E plus is the electrophile, and then we'll get the final product, that is CS3 CS2 E, that is carbon is bonded with the electrophile E. Now how do we get this? The better way to create nucleophilic carbon is to attach the carbon to a less electronegative atom. So in this case you can see that the carbon is bonded with the metal. So metals are always lesser electronegative than the carbon, or we can say metals are the more electropositive elements as compared to the carbon. So here I have given two electrostatic potential map, and these two electrostatic potential maps are for the two different compounds. So in the first one is methyl chloride, where the methyl group is bonded with the halogen, that is chlorine, and in methyl lithium, methyl group is bonded with the metal lithium. In methyl chloride, the carbon atom of the methyl group bears a partial positive charge. Why? It is because the carbon is bonded with the more electronegative atom, that is chlorine. For that reason, it bears a partial positive charge. In the electrostatic potential map, you can see the blue region indicates electron deficiency. That is nothing but what it is, electrophilic in nature. Similarly, come to methyl lithium. In methyl lithium, the carbon atom of the methyl group bears a partial negative charge and lithium metal bears a partial positive charge. So here in the electrostatic potential map, you can see the red area which is there on the methyl group, that indicates the what more electron density, and that is nucleophilic in nature. This is all about what electrophilic and nucleophilic nature of carbon. Be remember, when carbon is bonded with the more electronegative atom, in such case the carbon is acting as electrophile, and when the carbon atom of the alkyl group is bonded with the less electronegative atom, in such case the carbon is acting as a nucleophile. In most of the reactions, you can see that almost in all the reactions carbon is acting as a electrophile, but there are some compounds, only compounds in which the carbon is acting as a nucleophile. Those are nothing but what organometallic compounds. Now you may ask the question, what are these organometallic compounds? So the definition for these organometallic compounds is very simple. A compound that contain at least one carbon metal bond, that is called as organometallic compound. Here you can see, so organic group, in that carbon will be there, and that carbon is directly attached with the metal. So such types of compounds are called as organometallic compounds. So you can synthesize or you can get wide variety of organometallic compounds by attaching the carbon with the different kinds of metals. So here we have a large number of organometallic compounds. You can see methyl lithium, methyl magnesium, methyl aluminum, methyl copper, methyl zinc, and methyl cadmium. In all these organometallic compounds, one thing is common, that is the carbon atom of the alkyl group, that is methyl group, is having partial negative charge, and all other metals are having partial positive charge. So in all these examples, the carbon is acting as a nucleophile. And here I have given a chart, the electronegativity chart of certain selected elements. So here on the left hand side we have the metals except hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, all these are metals. And on the right hand side we have non-metals. And one more important thing you should remember is, on moving from left to right across the period, the electronegativity of the atoms or the elements increases, whereas on moving from top to down in a particular group, the electronegativity of the element decreases. Be remember this. The next one is, so here in this slide we will talk about the nature of carbon and metal bond. If you see the carbon and metal bond in organometallic compounds, it mainly ranges from ionic to covalent. Means there are some organometallic compounds which contain ionic character, and there are some organometallic compounds which contain a covalent character. Let's see those. So then here one more question comes in our mind, that is, what is the factor that decides the nature of carbon and metal bond? So obviously here the metal plays a very important role in deciding the nature of carbon metal bond. So let's see here, when we take metals like sodium or potassium, so these are more electronegative elements, and these are more electropositive metals, they are less electronegative elements. And when these are connected with the metals, they are going to form ionic bond between the carbon and the metal. And again, we have certain carbon metal bond where the bond between carbon and metal will be covalent. If you take metals like lead, tin, mercury, and one more is thallium, in such case, the bond between carbon and metal will be covalent. And there are some organometallic compounds in which the bond between carbon and metal lies between ionic and covalent. That is nothing but what? Polar covalent bond. So the polar covalent bond can be formed when there is a bond between carbon and metal such as lithium or magnesium. So in this video, we'll be focusing on the bond between carbon and lithium and carbon and magnesium. Now the nomenclature of these organometallic compounds, how to name these organometallic compounds. So it's very simple. So always what we have to do is, first we have to write the name of the alkyl group and then followed by the name of the metal. That gives the name of organometallic compound. Here you can see, first write the name of alkyl group, then name of metal. So combining these two, you will get the name of organometallic compound. Here we have certain examples. See, in the first case, there are 4 carbon atoms, so it is butyl group which is attached with the metal lithium. So name of the alkyl group is butyl and the name of metal is lithium. So butyl lithium is the name of this organometallic compound. And one more we have ethyl group is bonded directly with the magnesium metal and magnesium is directly bonded with the bromine. So it is ethyl magnesium bromide. Remember this nomenclature of organometallic compounds. And two more important things are there. The organometallic compounds are highly reactive and are versatile synthetic reagents and are used in the synthesis of wide variety of organic compounds. Next one is, the organometallic compounds contain a nucleophilic carbanion which are susceptible to attack by electrophiles. We remember this, only organometallic compounds are the compounds which contain nucleophilic carbon, and these nucleophilic carbons are ready to attack with the electrophiles. Next we'll see the structure of Grignard reagent. The actual structure of Grignard reagents are more complex than the simple formula RMGX. So RMGX is the simplest formula of the Grignard reagent. A Grignard reagent forms a complex with its ether solvent. And the structure of the complex can be represented here. You can see the structure where RMGX is the Grignard reagent and ROR is nothing but what it is, the solvent ether. So the oxygen atoms are having non-bonded electrons and oxygen atoms are going to form coordinate bonds with the metal magnesium in order to make it stable. Here you can see the complex formation with the molecules of ether is an important factor in the formation and stability of Grignard reagents. Remember, ether molecules solvate the Grignard reagent and they are going to make coordinate bonds with the metal atom in order to make them stable. Next we will see organomagnesium halides. Organomagnesium halides are generally called as Grignard reagent. Why? It is because these compounds are discovered by a French chemist, Victor Grignard, in the year of 1900, and later on he received a Nobel Prize for his discovery in the year of 1912. These Grignard reagents are versatile synthetic reagents in the field of organic chemistry and are used in the synthesis of alkanes, alkenes, alcohols, aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acids, etc. The structure of Grignard reagent is much more complex and it is not yet completely resolved. The general formula, if you see, the general formula of this Grignard reagent is RMGX, where R may be alkyl group or aryl group, or it may be alkenyl group, and X may be halogens. So you can take chlorine, bromine, or iodine. The reactivity of alkyl halides towards the formation of the Grignard reagent, if you see, the order of reactivity of alkyl halides follows. Alkyl iodides are more reactive than alkyl bromides, and alkyl bromides are more reactive than the alkyl chlorides. This is the reactivity of alkyl halides. Next one is synthesis of methyl magnesium iodide. So methyl magnesium iodide can be prepared in the laboratory by the action of methyl iodide on the magnesium metal in the presence of dry ether. So here dry ether is acts as a solvent. So first of all, what we have to do is, first we have to take a magnesium metal and cut into small pieces, and then it is suspended in the dry ether placed in a round bottom flask, that is we simply call it as RB flask. Then a mixture of methyl iodide and a dry ether is placed in the dropping funnel and is added slowly to the RB flask. The flow of solution from the dropping funnel is maintained slowly, and at the last we get the, when the reaction completed, a clear solution of methyl magnesium iodide is obtained. That is nothing but whatever methyl magnesium iodide, that is the Grignard reagent. The next one is reactivity of Grignard reagent. The reactivity of organometallic compounds increases with the percentage of ionic character of the carbon metal bond. As the percentage of ionic character of the carbon metal bond increases, the reactivity of organometallic compounds also increases. The Grignard reagents are very strong bases as well as they are strong nucleophiles, and these Grignard reagent react with any compound that has a active hydrogen or acidic hydrogens. So we will see the reaction of these Grignard reagents with the acidic hydrogen atoms in the next slide. The Grignard reagents may be regarded as a polar compounds which are sources of nucleophilic carbanion, and thus they attack an unsaturated carbon, especially the carbon of a carbonyl group. Why? It is because the carbon of carbonyl group will be more electrophilic in nature. And one more important thing is that the Grignard reagents are prepared in anhydrous condition. Why it is anhydrous condition? It is because the magnesium metal is highly reactive towards air and water. When this magnesium metal reacts with air, it readily forms magnesium oxide, and when it comes in contact with water, it readily forms magnesium hydroxide. So it is necessary to avoid the contact of air and water while preparing the Grignard reagent. Next we will see the synthetic applications of Grignard reagent where we are using these Grignard reagents. So first one is synthesis of hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons can be synthesized by using Grignard reagent by nucleophilic displacement reaction. So the Grignard reagents readily react with alkyl halides containing a reactive halogen atom, and they mainly follow the SN2 pathway. So here we have the reaction. First is Grignard reagent, and here we have alkyl halide. So the Grignard reagent, alkyl group of the Grignard reagent is a nucleophilic in nature, and the alkyl group of the alkyl halide is electrophilic in nature. And here Grignard reagent reacts with the alkyl group of the alkyl halide, and it displaces the halogen as a halide, so that we will get the RR dash, that is new carbon to carbon bond, so that we will get the higher hydrocarbons. When Grignard reagents react with the alkyl halides, we will get higher hydrocarbons. The better yields are obtained with the allyl, tertiary butyl and benzyl halides, since these are more reactive in SN2 reactions. And one more important thing, in this reaction the carbanion acts as a nucleophile. Be remembered. Next one is by the reaction with the compounds containing active hydrogen atoms. So here Grignard reagents readily react with those compounds which contain active hydrogen atoms and it gives hydrocarbons. So if you take the compounds which contain acidic hydrogens are alcohol and thiol, amines and carboxylic acid. All these contains active hydrogen atoms in their molecules and they form hydrocarbons after reaction with the Grignard reagent. So you can see in the following reactions. So the hydrogen atoms indicated with the red color are acidic in nature, and the alkyl group of the Grignard reagent abstracts acidic hydrogen and it forms alkanes. And one more important thing, in this reaction the carbanion, that is the alkyl group of the Grignard reagent, acts as a base because it is abstracting the hydrogen atoms. So when it abstracts the hydrogen atoms, so it acts as a base, and when it attacks on the electrophilic carbon, then it acts as a nucleophile. Now the second most important synthetic application of Grignard reagent is the synthesis of alcohols. So the alcohols may be prepared by the reaction of Grignard reagent with the carbonyl compounds. So here the Grignard reagent undergoes nucleophilic addition with the carbonyl compounds. Grignard reagents add to a carbonyl carbon to form an addition compound. Here the addition compounds may be alkoxide, and which on further acid hydrolysis gives corresponding alcohols. Now let's see how do we get different kinds of alcohols from the carbonyl compounds. In that, first one is synthesis of primary alcohol. When Grignard reagent reacts with the formaldehyde, it forms an addition compound, that is alkoxide, and which on further acid hydrolysis gives primary alcohol. Here we have the reaction. Formaldehyde in the first step reacts with the methyl magnesium iodide, and in the second step it undergoes acid hydrolysis. S3O plus is nothing but what it is, acid hydrolysis, and it gives ethanol. Now how does this reaction works? We will see the mechanism for this reaction in the next slide. So the mechanism of this reaction follows. In the first step it undergoes nucleophilic addition, that we simply call it as 1,2 addition. So here you can see the methyl group of the methyl magnesium iodide attacks on the carbonyl carbon of the formaldehyde and it gives addition compound, that is alkoxide. And one more important thing is that always note here there is a formation of new carbon to carbon bond takes place, and simultaneously there is a breaking of carbon to oxygen pi bond. And in the second step, that is protonation, or you can say acidic workup, the alkoxide ion in the second step undergoes acid hydrolysis and it gives the primary alcohol. So overall what we can say is Grignard reagent reacts with the formaldehyde mainly in two steps. In the first step it undergoes nucleophilic addition to form the addition compound, and in the second step it undergoes acidic workup to give the primary alcohol. This is the mechanism of synthesis of primary alcohol from the formaldehyde. Next we will move on to the synthesis of secondary alcohol. Now in order to get secondary alcohol we have to treat Grignard reagent with the aldehyde other than formaldehyde. So if I treat again Grignard reagent with the formaldehyde, once again I'll get the primary alcohol but will not get the secondary alcohol. So in order to get secondary alcohol, we should avoid the reaction of Grignard reagent with the formaldehyde. Instead of formaldehyde, we can use the higher aldehydes. Here you can see in the example, I have taken here acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde in the first step on reaction with the methyl magnesium iodide, it gives addition compound. That addition compounds in the second step undergoes acid hydrolysis to give the secondary alcohol. Now again this reaction also works in a similar fashion as we already seen for the primary alcohols. Let's see the mechanism of this reaction. Here again, the first step is nucleophilic addition, similar to the first reaction what we studied now. So here methyl magnesium iodide, which on reaction with acetaldehyde, it gives addition compound, that is once again alkoxide, and in the second step it undergoes protonation, or you can say acidic workup, to give the required product, that is secondary alcohol. The mechanism is same. Next we will see the synthesis of tertiary alcohol. Tertiary alcohols can be obtained by the reaction of Grignard reagents with the ketones. So here I have an example. I have taken here ketone, simple example, acetone. So acetone, in the first step it undergoes reaction with the methyl magnesium iodide to give the addition compound, and later on in the second step that undergoes protonation to give the tertiary alcohol as the major product. And again the mechanism for this reaction is also same. Let's see the mechanism. Here again, step 1 is the nucleophilic addition, where it undergoes 1,2 addition. Yes, we'll get the addition compound, that is tertiary butoxide. And this tertiary butoxide in the second step, that is acidic workup, it gives secondary or tertiary. Obviously the answer is tertiary. It gives tertiary alcohol. This is all about the what? Synthesis of primary alcohol, secondary alcohol and tertiary alcohol by the reaction of Grignard reagent with the different carbonyl compounds. Now we come to the conclusion, that is we have here Grignard reagent. So this Grignard reagent on reaction with the 3 different carbonyl compounds, say formaldehyde, other aldehyde, so other aldehyde means higher aldehydes, and ketones. The reaction of Grignard reagent with formaldehyde, it gives primary alcohol as the major product, and reaction of Grignard reagent with the other aldehydes or higher aldehydes gives secondary alcohols, and similarly reaction of Grignard reagent with the ketones gives the tertiary alcohols. This is all about what this is. Conclusion. Here I have given some practice problems. So go through all these examples and try to write the products on your own. So when it comes to third problem, then I have given directly the product of the 2 reactions. So there what you have to do is just you have to write the ways of synthesis of these compounds, from which carbonyl compound we can prepare these 2 products. So just try it on your own. And this is all about what today's video. And if you find or if you get any difficulties, so just let me know your doubts in the comment section of the YouTube channel. So thank you for watching this video.